Hello everyone, my name is Manjunath and welcome to React Beginner series. In this series, I'll be teaching you all the things which you need to know about React and we'll start from basics, then we'll try to move into advanced as we move forward. So don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And please put it in the comment box saying you want this series to be continued so that I'll also get inspired to create more videos. So without delay, let's get into computer and let's learn some React. So first of all, let's just go to our Google buddy and in Google, we'll just type React. And when you type this particular thing, you'll get, first of all, let me just move myself a little bit this side. Okay. So you'll get this React website. When you go to React website and click on Learn React and scroll a little bit, it will show you some code snippet that what and all you need to do certain things. But let's just try to click on this installation and it will explain you certain things saying React is not meant to be a framework itself. It is supposed to be a simple library and in order to make React one proper web application, you need to install lots of things. So they are just telling you install something like Next.js or something like that. There used to be some place which used to tell that, but I don't know. Okay, there you go. If you just click on this start a new project, you'll be able to see here saying you can use something like Next.js, Remix.js or Gatsby. Some of these frameworks I already have done videos and you may check them out. But in this video, we just want to purely learn React. We don't want to learn something like Next.js, which has its own concept. So using such thing is going to make our React learning process little bit complicated. So what do? We can just go to Google again and we can search for wheat. And this particular thing will let us install React on our system locally and use it. But first of all, before doing any of these things, just make sure you have Node.js installed. Just go to nodejs.org and here you will be able to download latest LTS version of Node.js. And obviously, as I always say, you need to have VS Code installed. It is Visual Studio Code, not Visual Studio or some other editor. So just make sure you'll just go to VS Code website and you will download it for Windows or any other platform if you're on other platform. Then I think that would be it. Once you have done it, you can directly go and check if you have Node.js installed or not by typing node -- version. And it is showing you saying Node.js is installed and it is 20.11.1. Your version might be different. It doesn't matter really. Just make sure you have downloaded the latest version. Now, if I just go here and type npm -- version, this also should display some things. Yeah, so that means Node.js is properly installed. After that, I'll just close this particular thing and just create one folder in your laptop. And once it's created, just right click on it and click on open in terminal. And that time it will make sure it is opened in that particular folder itself. And once it's done, I'll just go to Wheat website and let's just build our React project. I'll click on get started. And if you scroll a little bit down, it will give you the command which you need to run in order to start the project. It's very simple command. Just type npm create wheat at latest. So I'll just type it npm create wheat at latest. So once it will do its thing, we'll be able to name the project and we can just name it as hello React. And once that is done, it is going to ask what kind of project you want to create. I'll just click on React project and it's going to ask us for selecting whether it wants TypeScript and other things. I'll just select JavaScript and click enter. So that creates our React project. Once that is done, just close this particular thing and click on this particular folder and right click show more option and open with the code. Once that is done, you will see your code editor properly here. And let me just make myself smaller. And once that is done, you can click on 3-dot button here and click on new terminal. And here we can run this particular project. But before running it, we need to type one command, that is npm command, that is npm I. Very simple command. And let me just make this particular screen little bit large so that you can see it. So it is going to install certain things. So that took a couple of seconds, and it might take a little bit more also depending upon your laptop power. So once that is done, I can just type npm run dev, and this is going to run the project in port 5173. But we want to change the port before we do anything. So just go to vite config, and in here just type server, and inside the server you can type a port, and I'll just change the port to 3000. And if I just save it, it's going to immediately reload it, and it's going to run the project in port 3000. And I'll just open this particular port, and now we can see the React project is running. We have ran this particular React project, which is not doing many things. It's just making sure that React is running properly, and we'll be able to see this particular output. And in this particular coding also, we just change the server port so that we'll get to make it run on server port 3000. So let me just close this particular thing, and this is one basic React project structure. Node modules means it will include all the packages. It will include React itself. We never touch this particular folder. And usually when we share the project to GitHub or somewhere else, we just make sure this never goes inside it. And whenever you want, you can just type npm I, and it's going to come back again if you delete it accidentally or something like that. And in order to govern this particular file, we have something called as package.json, which is going to show us more details about our project. It will show what is our project name, and it's going to tell which command is going to run whenever we run something using npm command. So last time we have run npm run dev. It's going to make sure it is running a vite command in the terminal so that we'll be able to run our server. So other than that, it is going to show us a build lint and all that we'll learn later if we needed. But another thing is dependencies. It's going to show as a React and React DOM, because this is React project. We will require React and React DOM. If it is some other project, we won't be having this React and React DOM. We'll have something else. And all these are dev dependencies, which is by default installed. We don't have to do anything in it. So, and this is vite config where we have changed the server and all. And this package-log.json is normal file which comes with this package.json. We don't have to do something else. And ESLint config, all those things are like really advanced things which we can learn some other day in some other course. And public folder is going to give us one public directory where we can put any kind of static images and all. And if you click on src, it's going to show whole bunch of files. And in this particular React project, entry point is main.js, and it's going to create one element named root, which we can see in index.html, where it has one ID named root. Same thing is being called in main.jsx root, get element by ID root. If it is something else, you can change its name here, but at the moment it is root, and it's going to render this particular app in our root. So if you just see import statement, import app from app.jsx, we can see some things here that exactly is being ran here. So let me just go here and Control A and erase everything so that nothing is running at the moment. So let's just start typing React component, one simple React component. So I just realized that you couldn't see that vite config file. I just make sure I'm on this side. Now you can see there is vite file and packet.json and packet.json if you haven't seen it already. So let me just close this particular thing and we'll start writing the app.jsx. So now we'll just type export default function, and we need to name this particular function as app. Actually, it's called as React component. And in this particular React component, if I just type return, and if I put something like h1 hello world and save it, it's going to show hello world in this particular page. and it is going to have some stylings. That is because there is index.css. I'll just remove everything in this particular file, and now you can see hello world plain and neat. Once that is done, we can try to type something else here. Let me just put p tag, and here I'll tell I am Manjunath Shenoy. And if I just save it, it's going to give some big error. And if I go here, it's also going to tell some error. Don't worry about it. Errors are common in all kind of development. You don't have to much worry about it. Let's just focus on solving this particular error. And it's going to tell saying adjacent JSX element must be wrapped in enclosing tag. So what we can do is we can directly cut this particular entire text, and we can put one div and we can just paste it here. Now error should be gone and we should be able to see everything. That's because one React component, that is the main component, it should have only one parent to be returned. So you can't return multiple divs. So in order to avoid this particular problem, we can just put one tag without any kind of name inside it. So it's just empty tag, or you can call it as fragment also. So once that is done, we can style little bit more so that it will look little better. So now we can see here is just one empty tag, and you can put anything you want inside it. You can put something like one div, and now you can put another div also, so there won't be any kind of problem. Here I can type something like h2 follow me on Instagram, and if I just save it, now we can see hello world and follow me on Instagram, everything properly. So that's how you can create one simple React component. And there is other way to create the component also. So if I just comment everything here, that would be, I can directly type function name, function app, and I'll just start to write this particular function, return h1 hello world, and I'll just save it, but it's not going to display anything because we didn't export this particular function. So I'll just type export default app, and if I just save it, now it's going to show you hello world project properly. Next, another method to create the component. Yes, so many methods are there for creating component. I can just type const app is equal to, and I can put one arrow function here, and here also I can put return, and I can type something like h1 hello world, and I can save it, and here we can directly type export default app, and I'll just save it, and it's going to show us hello world only. So it's up to you which syntax you want to follow. Any syntax is fine. When you are searching online, if you came across something like this or this or this, it doesn't matter. You can write it in whatever the way you want to write it. I usually try to keep this particular syntax because I am not doing anything advanced in this particular project. So I'll just comment this particular thing out, and this will be the project, and this is how it is going to look. I'll be creating some more component, and we'll do some more other things in this particular component. So first of all, in your src folder, you can create new folder named components, and inside this particular component folder, I'll just create a header.js, and in here we can write component itself. I'll just write export default header, and export default function header, and inside this particular thing I can return header itself. Header is HTML tag. You can type something else also if you want, and I'll just type something like h1 header. Once I save this particular thing, you won't be able to see it because it's not being imported into this particular app.js. Now I can import it, and importing is very easy in this particular VS Code. I'll just start one tag, and I'll just type header, and it's going to show me header, it is going to import it from dot slash component slash header. I'll just click on it and I'll just close this particular tag. Once I save it, it's going to show me saying import header from dot slash header component slash header. And we got some error here, and we'll just fix it because the error itself is saying if you are using JSX, make sure name the file with .jsx or txx. We'll just change this to JSX, and I think now there won't be this error. Okay, error is still there. I'll just close this particular thing. Okay, I just had to save it. Once I saved it, if I go here, it's going to show me header displayed here. So that means you can import one component inside another component. Usually when we are having bigger project, we'll split header, footer, and all the other things into separate component. Once that is done, now let me just try to control some things related to this particular header. Now the text itself is saying header, but I want it to be changed to Manjunath Shenoy YouTube. So we can do it actually easily by giving some kind of prop inside it. So I'll just type a prop as a title is equal to Manjunath Shenoy YouTube, and I'll just save it. Once I saved it, in order to access it in this particular header file, I just have to destructure here, and we can directly type title here. Now once that is done, I can print it here just by adding one curly braces and typing title, and if I save it, now it's going to show me Manjunath Shenoy YouTube. So what just happened is from the app component, I just created another component, a child component called header. And inside this particular header, I just passed one title. Here you can change it to anything you want. You can put something like maybe message or something else, whatever comes in your mind, alert, danger, anything. Once you type it and if you send something here, it can be received directly from the app component in this header component, and the way it can be received is just by destructuring this particular header components function, and once that is done, we can directly display it in here. So this is simple React structure for displaying the variables. So it will be very useful for passing some things. For example, if you are building some kind of social media application, you can create one post component and you can pass all the things which you require to pass to another component in this particular props area. In this particular video, I'll teach you how you can use something called as state in your project, and it's going to be used throughout our project. Everywhere in React project, we'll be using it. So without delay, let's just try to do it. So first of all, in order to create some kind of state, we'll just try to understand concept of variables in React. So let me just go here and type let name is equal to Manjunath, and I'll just save it. Once it is done, I'll just remove second paragraph, and maybe also first paragraph, let me remove it, and I'll just type h1, and I can just type this particular name, and I'll just save it, and let me go here, and you'll be able to see this particular thing that it is going to display Manjunath. But problem with this particular thing is it cannot be updated again. In a sense, I can directly come here and type name is equal to Shenoy, and if I save it, it's going to display Shenoy, no problem, because it's being ran programmatically. But let's just say that it's being updated in some dynamic way, like it is going to send some kind of data to some page or something like that, and that time we won't be able to update this particular name, and even if we update it programmatically, it won't be displayed in this particular place. So in order to avoid that, React has something called as state. So instead of using variable, we can create that particular state, and creating it is very easy. We can directly go here and we can type const, and we can type name. That's the name which we want to keep for our state. And in order to set this particular name and update it, we can write another function, and usually it's named as set name with the n capital. And if it is something like student id or something like that, that time you can type set student id. It is not like you have to keep this particular name only. Once that is done, we can type something like use state, and just make sure it's being imported also, because it's a function coming from React itself. So once that is done, we can set it to something like Manjunath. I'll just save it. Now if I go here, it's going to just display Manjunath itself. But it is now being a React state. We can use it in a little bit different way, which I'll be showing you. Don't worry about it. And in order to show you this particular thing, I just need to come here and create one button, and I'll just name this as change me, and I'll just save it. Once that is done, I can go here and I can type on click. Now the thing which we can do here is we can create one arrow function inside this particular on click function, and we can directly type a set name, and we can set it to maybe Tony Stark. I'll just save it. Now if I just go here and click on change me, it's going to change it to Tony Stark. So that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't set this particular thing as a React state. I'll just comment it out, and now if I just change it to let name is equal to Manjunath and save this particular thing, and if I go here, it's going to show me Manjunath. But if I click on change me, it's not going to do anything because it's not React state. So that's the difference between this particular thing and using this particular use state thingy. So I'll just uncomment it and I'll just comment the bottom line. And if you see here, I can click on change me and it's going to change it to Tony Stark. So that's how this particular thing works, that use state. And with the combination of on click, we'll be able to run one function inside the on click handler, and we'll be able to set this particular name and update this particular name state. So it might be little bit hard at the beginning to understand this particular thing, but it's simple enough. Just focus on name of the state and a function which is used to change this particular name, and anywhere inside your component you can call this particular function and you can reassign this particular name again. That is called as use state. We just learned what is this name and set name by using this use state. We are going to send some HTTP request. So without delay, let me just stop this particular server by pressing Ctrl C, and I'll just install one package called Axios. So in order to install one package, you can type npm I Axios, and it's going to install that particular package, and it will update packet.json for us here. You can see Axios being installed in the dependencies. So once that is done, I'll just rerun the server by using npm run dev command, and once that is running, I can go here and I can just import Axios from Axios. So Axios has been imported. Once that is done, I'll just go here and let me clear out this entire thing so that we can make some space. Yeah. So first of all, I just want to type one string here and let username is equal to Shenoy. This is my GitHub username actually. We'll be using GitHub's API to fetch some user profile information into our project. So we can write one simple function which is going to help us to call the API of GitHub, and we'll be able to get the result. So in order to do that, I'll just type const fetch GitHub user is equal to one arrow function, and here we can directly get data from the GitHub API. I'll just do it, then I'll be able to explain it properly. Const data is equal to axios dot get, and here we can type the URL which we want to go and fetch it, that is https:// api.github.com/ and we can directly append username which is actually coming from this particular variable. Once that is done, in order to use Axios, we need to type await keyword, and now it is going to give error saying it is allowed inside async function. So I'll just type async here and I'll save it, and before saving it, we'll just console.log data, and once I save it, now I'll be able to call this particular function. For testing purpose, I'll just call it here itself at the moment. Later we'll do something else. Now that is done, I'll just click on inspect and click on console here, and it's going to give us some error. This error is coming because we have done one mistake here. If you just go here and type users/ and save it, now it's going to fetch some stuffs for us from GitHub, something like avatar, bio, blog, company, and all the other details which is publicly available in the GitHub itself of mine. If you change this particular username to your name, that is your GitHub username, then you will be able to fetch your information. Now, once that particular thing is fetched, in order to use it in our component and display the user data, we need to do some things. We were able to successfully fetch GitHub user details, and we were able to see it in the console of our browser. In this video, we are going to display it in the React component itself. So without delay, let's just create one state named user, const user, and we can change this particular user details by using another function named set user, and this is going to be use state, and initially it's going to be just empty curly braces because it's being displayed as a JSON here. So we just have to put one normal JSON here. So once that is done, we can see console log data is being written here, and I'll just type set user data, and once that is done, whenever the user is being fetched, it's going to be set inside user here, and now I can directly come here and type h1, and here I can type something like user dot, and I can see something like name, and if I save it and if I go here, it's going to display Manjunath Shenoy here. This is actually coming from GitHub itself. Once that is done, I can see something like bio. I'll just write one p tag and I'll be able to type user.bio, and if I save it, we can see the bio which is being displayed in the GitHub. Once that is done, I can see something like blog, that is the website. I'll just type user.blog and I'll just save it. It's going to display the link itself, whatever it's present on GitHub. Now let's just try to see something like email, which I haven't shown it publicly. So if I just type here user.email and if I save it, it's not going to be displayed here. But there is one big error here, that is entire function is being called multiple times. That is because we haven't assigned it to anything, and whenever this particular component changes, this particular function is going to run. It's little bit complicated. I should have told it in the beginning only, but I'll just comment it out for now so that we can fix this particular error. And once that is done, we can go here and we can create one button, and here we can type something like get user details and save it, and we'll be able to see the button itself. And here we can type on click, and here we can type something like a button clicked. And in order to use this particular button clicked variable, we need to create it, and we'll create one simple function here, const button clicked is equal to one arrow function, and here we can just call this particular fetch GitHub user function. I'll uncomment it. Once that is done, we should be able to see no error, and if we just click on get user details, it's going to fetch it, and if I click it again also, it's going to fetch it again, and I'll just refresh it, and will not see anything here. So before we end this particular video, I want to display the photo of GitHub also, so that we can get it by using avatar URL. We can directly go here and we can type something like img tag, and in the src we can put directly user dot avatar underscore URL and save it. It's going to display my photo itself. So in next video, we'll just make sure users will be able to type their name and click on get details, and actually it's not name, username, and once they type their username and click on fetch user details, it should be able to display their user details. At the moment, we are just hard coding this particular thing, and if you change it to something else, you will be able to see it. Maybe let me just change it to Facebook, and I'll just save it. Okay, so Facebook's details is being fetched here. I want our project to be able to type directly Facebook and click on fetch user details, and we should be able to display it. I'll be creating one feature where you can type directly user's email and you'll be able to fetch that particular user's detail. So in order to create it, we need to first of all change this particular username to React state. It's very easy to do it, as I showed in here. Const username and set user name is equal to use state, and I can directly keep it as just empty string. Once that is done, I can go here and I can type something like input, and in the input I'll just put one placeholder, and I'll just put one dummy text here saying enter GitHub username, and if I save it and if I go here, we'll be able to see one simple text box here, nothing fancy. I'll just zoom it a little bit so that you can see it properly. Okay, so now I'll just cut this particular thing and paste it below the button itself, so we can see button and this thing together. Okay, so in order to get details of this particular user, we can modify something like here we can write user name, or I'll just simplify it and I'll just type name, and here also I'll just type name. So this particular function will just can be called with this particular name as a parameter to function, and it will fetch that particular name's user from GitHub, and here we are calling this particular thing. So if I just put here Shenoy and save it, and if we go here and click on get user details, it should display the user details, but we want to change this particular thing. So in order to do that, I can directly go here and instead of putting Shenoy, I can put username, but there is nothing which is going to set this particular username when user is going to type in this particular input box. So in order to do that, we can go here and we can write some things inside this particular input, and that is very simple. We can directly type on change, and we can type something like e, and here we can set something like our username, that is set username, and here we put e dot target dot value, and if I just save it and type here something like Shenoy, and so I'll just click on it, it is going to display my details, and if I change it to something like Facebook and click on get user details, it's going to display Meta's user details. And if I just type Google and click on get user details, it will display Google's details, and so does Intel, and any other user details which you want to search, you can search. Especially you can search your own user details. If there is no user details, it's going to give you just error. So in order to avoid this particular error, we can directly put here try catch. Inside fetch user this thing, we can put try catch, and in here we can type alert error while fetching user details, and I'll just save it, and if I just refresh it and type something like traversy or something like that, I'll just click on it. Okay, there is actually user with this particular thing, and I'll just type something random here, and I click on get user details, and it's going to tell me error while fetching user details. So this is one simple way to handle the error inside it. I'll just type my username just to make sure it works properly. Okay, so it's displaying my user details when you are properly putting the username. So in this project, we have learned quite a lot of things. So if you want to learn more about React, just put in the comment section saying you want to learn and you want me to continue the projects in this particular thing, because so many other things are there to learn. Maybe you want to send a post request, delete request, update request, and even if you want to build backend using Node.js and connect it to this particular React project, I can make such videos also. So if you like this series and if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. And for watching more videos like this, put it in the comment box saying you want to watch it. So see you in the next video. Bye bye.